Welcome, everyone. It's 3 o'clock on Thursday, and that means it's time for our travel talk. I'm Diane Cook, and I own Seven Seas to Sea Travel. That is my travel planning business, and I'm the principal travel designer. I specialize in your not so usual travel adventures. Today, I welcome a colleague of mine, Glenn, who has been with Country Walkers and VBT, which is Vermont Biking Tours, since January of 2012. And so he has really seen this part of the industry grow and explode with the interest of everybody wanting to just slow down and experience where they are. Glenn lives in Florida, so he's got beautiful weather today. And I'm just so grateful all of us have chosen to spend this time together. So Glenn, thank you so much, and please take it away.
Thanks so much, Diane. It's my pleasure to be here from sunny Florida, windy sunny Florida today, but it's March, and that's our favorite month to live in Florida because it's typically dry and warm and sunny. Only thing that is tough about it is we get the spring breakers invading us, so that can be a little tricky getting around. Um, as Diane mentioned, I've worked with Country Walkers for quite a while. I've been in the industry promoting travel as a travel agent, as well as some hotel management and whatnot, but always in the hospitality business for over 35 years. This is the most fun that I've had. These products are super fun. They're very unique. Even in my agency, I used to focus on selling the norms, the typical cruise, the all-inclusives on the beach and so forth. And we never really strayed too far from that. That was our clientele. I started working with Country Walkers in 2012 and realized at first, people just paying us to walk around and follow the leader, but you realize that there's so much more involved in each tour, and you learn so much about the area in such a unique way that it's definitely my style of traveling now, and I'm here to share this with you. Uh, I've been on several tours. This is a little snapshot of my group. My last tour that I did, which was in Ireland, it was a walking tour, and wonderful group of people. And unfortunately, with last year kind of getting put to the side due to COVID, this was in 2019. So we're eager to get back, and myself get back on our tours soon. We're going to talk about quite a bit today. We have two distinct brands, so VBT, Bicycling Vacations, and Country Walkers. Pretty self-explanatory. VBT is all biking. Country Walkers is walking tours. We're going to review some new destinations, some destinations that are a little bit more of perhaps a low-hanging fruit of you able to go on this year. And then we'll touch on where we operate in normal times, which are, on the horizon. We will cover our self-guided bike product as well as our self-guided walking product, because that's a popular option for people that are looking to get back out and travel, but don't necessarily want to be part of a group that they don't know anybody. We're going to talk about our air packages and how great they are to add to an international travel tour that we do. We'll review some of our policies and some of the current things that we're doing to make people comfortable booking, and what we are planning to do for our tour protocol, safety, etc. And then we'll take some Q&A. And I was talking to Diane right before we started, and we're going to pause at a certain point, like after each section, and take any questions you might have. We find that might be a little bit more effective than waiting till the end and then having questions, unrelated to what we just talked about. So we are part of the Colorado-based Xanterra Travel Collection. Not the most familiar name going in the industry, but it's a great collection of companies. You can see at the bottom all the different brands that come under the Xanterra Travel Collection. So Windstar Cruises, Grand Canyon Railway and Hotel, Holiday Vacations. We also manage several park lodgings. So they're not technically part of the travel collection, but in the U.S. national parks, we manage the lodging in those areas. But they are under the Zenterra umbrella. Our offices are located in Vermont, right outside of Burlington, in a town called Williston, but we have staff located around the world. Diane mentioned I live in sunny Florida, but we have colleagues throughout Europe, South America, and other parts of the US. It's come in very handy to have this worldwide coverage as we start gathering all the intel that flies around to get our tours safely operating at points in the world. And it just makes it, it's a great bunch of people to work with. We have 133 active immersive itineraries worldwide. So that's not necessarily destinations, because we have several places we go to that we offer at many different styles, and we'll talk about styles as we go through. We only do active travel, so we're not doing things that we're not good at, that we're not that is more mainstream. It's only this active travel. So that's our focus, and we're never going to stray from that and start adding willy-nilly products just to get people in our database. We have this great group of people that work with us, including some great tour designers. I've worked with Country Walkers since 2012, as mentioned. We have people in our product team that have been with the company almost 25 years. So they've been doing this a long time, and they are experts at what they do, and they put together all the tours. We have this great support staff that handles all the logistics to make sure the bikes are there, they're ready to go, the hotels, the transfers, everything is coordinated. We have some great tour consultants that we pride ourselves in getting everyone out on tour shortly after they begin with us, and then each year sending them back out to further their expertise on what we do. And then, of course, we're most renowned for our fantastic local guides and leaders. And then we are local to where you'll travel. So who goes on our tours? Definitely 50 plus. I will say that age is going up because, one, people are much more active now, later in life. Two, the advent of e-bikes, electronic assist bikes, that we'll talk about for VBT, has made the VBT age rise from low 50s to low 60s, because we have people that are able to travel with us really endless. I mean, as long as they're mobile, the e-bike helps them that much that they've been able to extend their career. We have a lot of solo travelers, so 25, 35%. It's roughly 35% of walking guests are solo. So it doesn't mean they're all single people. It just means that they travel solo. I love doing our tours. I'm not so sure my wife would love doing our tours. I like to walk, she likes to bike, that type of thing. So we may travel and do things separate, or again, groups of friends that get together and take a tour, and they travel in their solo status as they go through. You don't have to be a super athlete, just an active person, good mobility. We do have varying levels of fitness or ratings on each tour, and we clearly rate those both on our website and our catalogs. I'll talk to you a little bit about that as well as we go through. And then, of course, we want you to be open-minded and eager to learn, because that's what you do. My trip to Ireland, I'd never been, and I have relatives, of course. St. Patty's Day yesterday was a good day. But I came back, and I was about to attend a 90th birthday party for an Irish relative in Boston, and people from Ireland coming over. Well, I did my tour about a month ahead of that. I felt like the walking expert on Ireland as we're gathered around, and happened to be in the same area where these people came from, and it was just a great time. I felt like I really learned a tremendous amount. So either brand, we have some core inclusions. So if you to say, well, just give me the elevator speech of what's included in our tours. On our guided products, we have those exceptional local guides. We use premium accommodations and boutique style, so smaller feel type of hotels. I always like to say you remember where you stay with us, because each hotel has some unique qualities that make you come back saying, wow, I didn't just stay in a Holiday Inn Express again. Um, we do classic off the beat and path destinations. So we'll come into cities, but then we're quickly out of cities, because we want to, experience the countryside in an unhurried and an cluttered type of way. And the only way you do that is really, again, getting out of the cities as fast as you can. We do rate all the activity levels for both brands. It's rated not only on mileage, or um, sometimes it can be rated on time spent hiking. If it's more of a hiking experience, it can be rated for elevation gain or losses. It can be rated for other things, like maybe it's an area where there's some potential vertigo issues on a path. So all that goes into the rating. Most of what we do fits into an easy to moderate type of rating, going back to the fact that we don't really require people to be a super athletic person to join us. And most of those people fit in that, hey, I can do easy to moderate. Um, Again, I mentioned we do have a few challenging tours as well. On to our next component is our authentic cuisine. So depending on the tour style, it can include just about every meal. It can include half the meals, or if it's a self-guided product, they tend to include breakfast, but then maybe fewer meals throughout the week, because we really want it to be independent. We don't want to pick where you have to eat and make sure you're at that particular time, that type of deal. And then our air packages for any international travel. So anything that doesn't operate within the United States, we offer that international air package. And I have some slides on that. We do include Canadian cities also as an option for our published pricing. And then, of course, what's top on everyone's mind coming out of COVID-19 is, what we do is always safe, but where extra enhanced safety is coming into play. Now, usually what I do here is I introduce you with a video. It's about a minute and a half. They're available on YouTube. They're available on our website. I'm not going to do that because I've had some issues with Zoom, and it sometimes throws the whole presentation off. So I'm going to skip the video. I do recommend watching it, because in about a minute and a half, you really can see it in action of what we're doing. And here, actual guest comments. What we did was, instead of make a video with the script, we took all these guest comments, recorded them, and then designed the video around fitting into what they're saying, what their comments are saying. It's kind of a cool way to do it. I honestly played the video for 2 years and never knew how they did it, but great comments from our guests. So our VBT has 3 different styles, we call them. One is our guided bike experience. This is land-based. No more than 20 guests would be on any departure. It's going to have all of the great inclusions we'll cover in the next slide. We then move on and we have the similar concept, but we're using a vessel. So it's a land-based biking. We're not riding on water, but we have 2 options. One is a river cruise, and we use Emerald Waterways as our river boat provider. The other is on barges. So these are in Europe, and you live on a retrofitted barge. It's essentially like a floating bed and breakfast. I did it in Amsterdam. I did Amsterdam to Bruges. It was phenomenal. What happens on the bike and boat is all your bikes, the VBT van, the leaders, they're all on the cruise with you, and the van follows along on shore. You get off, it's the river cruise, and the river cruise we're blended in with other guests that have nothing to do with VBT. We get to port, Mary in the cabin next to you heads off to go on a shopping excursion or a sightseeing tour. You get off and you proceed to your bike, and you're off doing our traditional VBT bike rides, cultural stops, everything that you get on a regular land tour. end of the rides that day, come back, you get back on your river cruise, and your bikes are all handled for you, and then on to the next port where we do the similar thing. On a barge, it's a little different. We take the whole barge, and you not as porty, if that's a word. Like, you're not getting into ports. It's essentially, you can pull the docks and get off, and there again is your VBT equipment, the leaders are involved, and you're off doing the organized bike rides for the day. The barge typically will meet you downstream somewhere, so there's not a lot of not ride and come back seeing the same thing. Just a lot of fun. So great product. Both of the waterway products are excellent for people that aren't as into cycling, because they always have the option of completely staying on the boat if they don't want to go. And we'll talk about how they got other ways that they can not ride if they choose to. Our third way is our self-guided biking. We introduced this in 2020 in a very small way. Unfortunately, got a little smaller with things being moved around, but it's definitely for independent people that are much more savvy around a bike, meaning they know how to do some small repairs, or they can be taught very easy. But again, we're covering a lot of it for them. They're just not going to have the great VBT leaders that are going to be with them each time, nor will they have the support vehicle that rides along on our guided product. So where we go, everywhere in green is where we operate in normal times. So we have plenty in North America. We go to down to South America, a lot in Europe, north to south, east to west throughout Europe. Great offerings in Ireland and England. We go as far away as New Zealand, Vietnam, and South Africa. So some real exotic type of places. Of great interest for us here in North America. And again, we were talking before, we hope those borders get opened at some point soon here. But we have quite a few United States tours, and these are where we're going to really start operating in April. We're going to be back on the path in certain spots, and then eventually keep building. So by summer, we anticipate, operating all these tours. And what we did in response to the pandemic, as the 14 days to flatten the curve didn't quite take 14 days, we developed new offerings. So we knew that North America would be a popular choice for people as they emerge and start traveling again. So we worked with our leaders and developed these great regional type of opportunities for people that, if they needed to, they could drive to, if they didn't feel like flying, or if they were flying, it's an easy couple hours from pretty much anywhere you're going to enter these tours from. All these tours are up and available right now, and we're seeing a lot of bookings for North America. We're still seeing a lot of bookings for the tail end for Europe as well. So the second half of the year, the fall and so forth. So we do have some great opportunities that are still available to be booked. Our inclusions for any guided, so whether it's with a boat or not, you're going to have these great local leaders, the bilingual. They're going to take care of everything. They're with you the whole time. They stay at the same hotels. They manage all of the meals that are included. They manage all the equipment. You essentially walk to your bike in the morning and walk back on it as much as you're on and off it. And then at the end, you get off it and they take care of it all for you. We include great VBT bike equipment. So we primarily use Fuji bikes, and they're custom fit to your height. So when we take your reservation, we ask, A, what's your preference? What style of bike do you want? And B, can we get your height so that when you get there, a 6'5" man is not getting on a 5 foot high, same frame as that person. We include a bike bag. We include water bottles. We include helmets. So really, I mean, honestly, right now I could just sit here, grab my bag, show up, and everything's going to be ready for me to ride. I'd probably add some gloves, because day after day it gets a little rough on my dainty little hands. But we do, everything is there for you. Now, you'll have people that want to bring some other pieces. Maybe they want to bring their own helmet. Maybe they want to bring their shoes and clips. Any equipment that they want to bring, we'll install it, the leaders, so they don't have to, bring their wrench kit with them. And whatever it will do to make you most comfortable riding the bike. So really, really nice experience. I can tell you, my first VBT tour, I thought I was going to be like, with these expert, the group that you pass on Saturday morning in a pack. And no, they're just regular people that enjoy our type of travel and riding on a bike and seeing the world from the ultimate window seat. Uh, the lodging I mentioned before, very unique, boutique style. I always like to say you remember it. With meals, the same way. Your meals are going to be roughly half of your lunches, half your dinners, and all your breakfast any night you stay with us. Now, some tours might have more than that. Very few would have less than that. The idea is that we love being together as a group, but we also like to have a little independence. We like to maybe not go through a multi-course meal every night as a group. We may not want to have a scheduled time that we have to be together. We've been together all day, so let's take the evening and do what we'd like to do. Really a great way to do it. I enjoy the group meals, but I really enjoy just exploring on my own and getting, Ireland, there's a good pub, good fish and chips, whatever I wanted, and not necessarily, be on a schedule at that point. We do get off the bike a lot. We do activities. Typically within each ride, there's some sort of cultural stop, experience, a food experience, some learning type of opportunities. Could be visiting people's homes, could be, scenic stops that we spend some time at. A lot goes on. And again, that's included each day and typically within each segment of the ride. And then, as I mentioned, we provide full van support. So this van will ride along the route because you're riding at your own pace. And if you're not feeling it or something happens or something tweaks, quickly you just stop. There's always a leader that's going to be on a bike on the route too. And you stop and that van essentially sweeps the route. So they'll pick you and your bike up and on to, the next stop that's involved. There are times where people just opt to not ride at all, and they're always welcome to ride along in the van. If we're not moving or going anywhere that day, they can stay back at the hotel. They don't just, it doesn't just end right there. There's things to do if you're not on a bike. The bike is your ideal way because you signed up for a bike tour. But again, we understand that not everybody's going to want to ride every last mile. And we look, if we're going through and looking at a list on our phone at the end of the week, you kind of see VBT in color, great scenic rides, excellent food, great equipment, camaraderie, people that you might have just met on tour that you traveled with, and unique lodging. That lodging right there is Basin Harbor Club in Vermont. So kind of special for us because we meet as a company there once a year. And we also use it on our bike tours as well. Our bicycles, I mentioned there's different styles. So we have our hybrid bike, which is an upright fit. We do these as both step through or, step over frames. So, typically for ladies, the step through is more popular. I would take the hybrid, that setup right there. For the more avid cyclist or someone that's used to it, we do have road bikes with some really slick, very lightweight road bikes available on most tours. So some places they're just not necessary to have, like in Holland. But in other places, people that want those can get those bikes. The ratio of those bikes on our tours that I've been on have been, maybe 20% of the guests would take a road bike. The rest would either be on hybrid or the hybrid e-bike or electronic assist bike. And the e-bikes I mentioned are a great way to extend your career with us, but they have a lot of other great uses, and a lot of people aren't familiar with them. And I highly recommend, if you have the opportunity to use an e-bike anywhere, try it, check them out. They're a great way to get on a bike and take a little bit of the difficult effort at time out of the pedaling. So the way it works is you have to keep pedaling, or you're just going to have a heavy bike that's rolling. So you pedal, but what you do is you never have to change your cadence of the pedal. You just keep pedaling the same way, but now you can go up a steep hill. You can go through the wind. You can catch up to someone. You can uh, control yourself really well with this without that strain on your knees and your back and your legs trying to really pedal fast to keep up. So you do have to pedal. A lot of people think it's like a motorcycle. You get on and hit the gas and off you go. You do need some work. They are heavy. They're 30 pounds heavier than a regular hybrid bike, so a little getting used to. But what's nice is because they're heavy, they have these special shocks on them and they little wider stance. So they really have been designed well to handle a heavy bike. And you don't care about the heavy because you get the assistance going on. The benefits, it introduced people to our tour. So we have a lot of people. I'll go into shows. I'll bring an e-bike in to like a convention hall show, and people walk up and give me the old, not for me, have fun. But then they see, well, what's that? And we start talking and they leave with a brochure under their arm, because it's it's a way to take a lot off their mind, and put it in on the bike instead. The other thing it does, it equalizes abilities. We know even within couples, friends, there's always going to be different levels of riding. Some people go on tour, they haven't rode a bike in 30 years and they're coming on, and we don't expect them to immediately take off like the wind or keep up with maybe the person that told them to go on the tour in the first place. So it's a great way to equalize that ability. It extends the career. I had folks on my barge tour, and it's flat Holland, but it was really windy. They've been on 8 tours with us, and this was going to be their last. They only went because their friends went, and they liked the barge idea. About halfway through, the gentleman grabbed me to the side and said, we took the e-bikes, we were going to hang it up, but you've got us 10 more years. And we're now able to book places that we had crossed off the list because they had hills, they had rougher roads and things like that. So I saw they came back and booked Ireland, which was on their list, but they had basically crossed it off the list because they didn't think they could do it on a standard bike. So really great advantages to this. If you're thinking about an e-bike, we say get it, because it's in your mind that you might need it. Get it. You won't regret it. The worst case, you can kick it down to very little assistance level. You can turn the motor off if you're really feeling fruity about it. But no one does. They get on and they love them, and they realize that that's a great way to go. We do limit the availability on e-bikes. There's no extra fee or anything for an e-bike. It's just the capability. They're heavier, they're bigger, they require charging, which the leaders take care of. So on some tours, we may be limited and not have 18 e-bikes able to go. We might have 10 or 6. So always when you're checking and talking to Diane about booking a tour, if you want an e-bike, we'll just start there and make sure one's available in the departure that you have. And then we also use this great ride with GPS. So we have traditional route notes that we issue, so paper, but no one wants to read paper these days. Mount it on your phone. It's a program. You hit it, uses no data, just GPS, and it's telling you turn by turn how to do the route. And then you can save it, you can share it. I got nosy adult children. They like to know everything I'm doing all the time. I can post it on Facebook and say, this is what I did today. This is what I'm up to. And it's great. And I can say it again, I have a history of every ride I've ever done right on this app, and it's all free and included in as part of the tour. So we're gonna quickly just highlight a few pieces. I wanted to put this slide in here because it shows you just what a day is made up of on our tour. Now it's quite similar on walking, so we'll kind of emphasize it here, and then for walking, I'll go over it a little faster. So group breakfast, I mentioned breakfast always included. We get the group together, whether you're riding or not, there's a daily route review. We'd say, this is what we're doing. Morning ride may be 15 miles, afternoon ride might be 15 miles. We're going to do this stop, lunch. Even at that point, you don't have to say, I'm opting in, I'm opting out of that ride or that ride. They're just reviewing it, and they'll ask, is everyone riding this morning? You know, that type of thing. So you can always change as you go. If you're not feeling it, you can opt out of a ride at any point. Anytime you're on a bike, you can opt out. We do the AM ride, again, always with some nice stops and breaks that are built in. They can be as simple as a snack stop at a safe location, or they could be, again, a cultural experience. We do a lot of food type of experiences, learning experiences around the world. We'll have our lunch, which is either independent or as a group. It can be picnic lunches that the leaders will organize. It can be lunches in a local restaurant. It can be even times where it's independent. We may even do like some pre-orders. So when we roll into a small town, we're not putting 20 people on the couple of restaurants that they might have. So it's very well organized. And again, our guests love to eat because you're burning it right off. The PM ride is then followed. Now, this is where a lot of more people tend to opt out of riding. Just, they're good with half the day and they go through and do the other experiences. But I always suggest that if you're not even riding, stick with the group, because we're going to do other things. And you'll be with at least one of the leaders, so they'll point out some different things rather than, sit in your hotel room or something like that. It's just better if you're included in the group, riding or not. We'll always, at the end of the day, have some great free time. Very important. We don't want you just jumping off the bike and not even getting your legs back under you, and you have to run to dinner. So there's a couple hours that we can relax, have a drink, go for a walk, read a book, whatever we want to do. And then when we do have the dinners, they're going to be a nice multi-course meal. They'll sometimes be order off the menu situation, or they might be a limited menu that's been put together for us. And that's guided VBT tours. So I mentioned self-guided is a new product. The big difference with self-guided is no leaders, no support van, but you have great orientation to start with. And then you have support in the background if you need it. Something major happens, hopefully not, but a bike gets stolen or whatever it may be, some other incident, those people are local and they'll take care of you. You do need to be able to fix a flat, put a chain back on. In the orientation, we make sure you know that. You get a toolkit. We provide locks, everything for you. You get the lodging included. You get a VBT road book. So this is really like having the leader write all their notes down and hand it to you. So it's going to have everything day to day of how you're going to approach this self-guided tour. You're going to rely heavy on Ride with GPS because that's going to have all the routes on it. Again, keeping in mind there's no leader and there's no support van to sweep the route for you. So you're really on your own. And this kind of recaps what we do. Now we have 13 destinations currently for self-guided. We've actually added 8 this year because people want to stick with their own bubble. Smaller groups of people, family members, friends that they've been with, we determined that self-guided would be definitely popular. So again, we've added to the destinations. We do use set departure dates, so it's very similar to the guided tour in that those are the dates. We don't customize the dates at all. So when you look and it shows that there's a tour, you know, in July, it's on that date, that's when it runs. And it's different when we get to walking, which I'll explain later. Um, we do offer an air package as well for self-guided. Because we have the set dates, we're able to offer the air package on our international, you know, out of the United States destinations. And you definitely have to have a real independent spirit and be pretty savvy on a bike to do the self-guided. Not that the routes are super extra challenging or any different from our regular VBT tours. It's just the being on your own part, and maybe being on your own in an area that you're not familiar with, that could be not ideal for every person. So before we jump to Country Walkers, any questions on any of the VBT bicycling tour product?
And you could unmute yourself if you're comfortable with that, or you could type it into the chat if you have any questions. Or if it comes to you later, just send me an email and I will definitely get you the answers. Okay, I don't see any, Glenn.
Okay, great.
You've explained. Oh, here, do you have any one-day tours?
We do not. No, it's all multi-night. So the minimum tour length is going to be a 6-day, 5-night. And those tend to be our US, domestic, Canada tours. When you get to Europe, you add a night. And when you get further away, so your New Zealand's and, you know, where there's a lot more involved going, those extend out, you know, more nights beyond that.
Excellent. Excellent. Thanks, Glenn. Okay, we can
Great.
keep going. All right.
So we're going to trundle through to Country Walkers. And I mentioned I've worked with this product for quite a while. When I started, I had no idea what it was all about. I was doing a show with my sister who works for the company and just wheeling out brochures one day, and I kind of learned a lot on the fly there of what they did. And then I went on my first tour, which was in Piedmont, Italy. Everything was food related. So every single part of our tour, every walk, every day, throughout the day involved food and food experiences and how you make this and wine tastings and all kinds of great things. So I fell in love with the product. I fell in love with Piedmont, Italy, because it's a great, like, unsung part of Italy that is just wonderful place to go to. So we do 3 styles with Country Walkers. We have our guided full. So this is pretty inclusive. It's going to have just about everything included, including meals that are done as a group. Usually you won't get one dinner, either one lunch and one dinner, or just one dinner that wouldn't be with the group on most of the tours. Otherwise, you're dining together all the time. It's a premium priced product because of that, so it carries a higher price. It also will include things like wine throughout dinner, some other experiences that you'll get, you know, each and every day. You'll have a fairly full itinerary. Group size on this ranges from a low of 13 in one destination to a high of 18 on your European and international. In the US, they're capped at 16, but just because those are our max numbers, we usually operate in the 12 to 14 guest range on most tours. And for biking, it's usually 14 to 16 guests. We will operate smaller group size as well. So my Ireland tour that I went on I think we had 9. So, you know, we don't always need to maximize every tour spot to make it run. We have a great new way that we varied off this last year, and we went with guided flex as the term. So very similar to the VBT. In fact, it used to be the VBT walking product that existed. We brought it over, and it's, again, a lot of the same great inclusions as the guided full, but you have fewer meals that will be done together. So like the VBT model, about half of your lunch, half your dinner, all your breakfast. You're also going to have at least 2 points during the tour week that the itinerary is open. So you are not going to be day to day, end to end, each and every day of your vacation. You're going to walk. So you walk, for instance, in Ireland, we had one day, we started at about 11, we did a walk, lunch, came back. And so we had the morning open really to explore this great market that was in the town. And then we walked as a group, we ate lunch as a group, and then the rest of the day was open. So we had people heading off and doing some sightseeing. We had people doing some additional walks. We had people that I just watched simply relax, sitting by the pool, that type of thing. So it's really a nice way. The other thing that's great about Flex is the pricing is really great for our type of tour and our space, and what you get. But I just, for myself, again, I love being around the groups, but I loved having a little bit of independence blended into my week. And then we have our third way, which is self-guided, and we'll talk about that a little bit more, very slightly from our VBT product. So where we go, fairly similar to VBT's coverage. I will say we have eliminated Australia, so that slide's a little out of date, just because we only had one offering. We had two, and then we went to one. It was a self-guided, and it was just too difficult for people. Too much, as someone, my guide in New Zealand said, everything in Australia can kill you, nothing in New Zealand can. So we kind of figured we'd get rid of that. It wasn't selling. But we also, in Country Walkers, we do have safaris. So they're not walking safaris, they're actual safaris that we offer. And we include them in Country Walkers because a lot of our guests that travel with Country Walkers are also very interested in safaris. So we kind of tied in that product as well. But you can see a great coverage for Country Walkers. The most interest for people on the right immediate now are some of our domestic US tours. So we have tours, really skirt around the country here in a few spots. And we've also added some self-guided walking tours in the US. We mentioned activity levels. So I wanted to include this for walking because a lot of times everyone gets fixated on mileage for the day. And I wanted to just show you this. It's most of, as I mentioned, easy to monitor. So the first, 3 sections there, and you can see we break it down by hours, by distance. Most on average is about 5 to 7 miles walking a day, each and every day. But it's always broken into segments. Now, a little different than biking is you're not going to have that chase vehicle riding along with you. You're in paths and that. Obviously, if something happens, the guides will spring into action and take care of that. If someone's just not feeling it and it's in between walk, they can always remain with the vehicle that goes with us. We have drivers that are involved as well. So no one's just going to leave you to suffer out there. You're gonna be taken care of. We do, again, rate it sometimes based on the terrain. So you can see like moderate, hilly with some steep, uneven terrain. If I'm reading this and I'm trying to find the right tour, I may say, well, yeah, no problem. The hours are fine. The distance is fine. Whoa, wait a minute. I'm not too great on uneven terrain, that type of thing. So it helps guide with knowing these different nuances are in the tour. And then I mentioned we have a challenging tour, which is Mont Blanc, beautiful place. Honestly, I walk all the time. It's not for me because I'm not interested in going 7 hours of hiking every day and, with big elevation, 4,000 feet, that type of thing. I live in Florida. We learned how to not breathe below sea level. So we use that level to do that. What's really nice, our staff has all been on these tours and they have additional sets of notes with some real fine print on places. So if you're picking a tour and you think you pretty much fine with what it's, what's offered and the rating on it, but you may have some other condition or something that's of concern to you. Um, you work through Diane, we can get the answers for you. Make sure, ultimately it's a vacation, want to make sure that everyone out there is as comfortable as possible. The other thing I'll mention too, just on dining, any special diets are fine. Food has come a long way just since I started with this company, and even in places where you wouldn't think good food exists all over the place now. Um, the inclusions, you get those great local guides. They all bring something more than just being a guide playing follow the leader. They've grown up where they guide. They've lived there a long time. They have different skill sets. So with the two guides in Ireland I had, one was a lady who is very much a historian. Every factoid that you could have about Ireland, she would teach you. The other guide, who's really our top rated guide in our company, she was cultural, so song and story and that. So great blend. You've got a lot of knowledge each and every day, and you could drift to either one of them during the walks, and depending on what you really were interested in learning about at that point. So it was really kind of neat, and that's kind of goes across the board to any tour I've been on with us, that you really get some great knowledge that is not expected. You expect to do what's in the itinerary. You don't expect these other things that come up throughout each and every day. Great walks. I mentioned how we rate them. Accommodations, that boutique style accommodation that happens to be my hotel in Killarney that we stayed at, or right outside Killarney. On the if I looked from that window, you'd see a beautiful lake with some lakeside umbrellas and a nice cold Killarney blonde ale to to view it with. We have great activities, so very immersive cooking classes, food experiences, museum visits, cultural stops of all kinds, museums, churches, all built into the itinerary, whether it's fully guided or flex, or even some with the self-guided. We do have some inclusions that are part of the tour that are included, but you just are doing it, more independent. And then excellent dining, multi-course meals, fully guided. You're going to get wine or beer throughout dinner if you choose to have that. That's included. For flex, we'll usually have a toast, a welcome toast, and then if anybody wants anything beyond that, they can get it and then just settle up with it later on. Typical guided day, very similar to VBT, group breakfast included. We'll do a morning walk, usually about 2 to 3 miles. It's at your own pace, but definitely you're much more grouped up than you are on biking. The nature of it, you want to listen to those guides that I mentioned telling their stories, pointing things out. They're not going to say, hey, you in the back, hurry up, or you in the front, slow down, but it just naturally pulls together a little bit more often than the biking does. Those great experiences, wonderful breaks that are included, and scenic spots. Lunch, again, a lot of picnic lunches right on the trail. We don't like to do a lot of backtracking in our company. We like to keep moving forward with things. So whatever we can do and incorporate in the flow, that's what we do. We'll have an afternoon walk. Now, we do have times where we do provide set option periods. So maybe it's a longer day of walking, or maybe it's middle part of the week where instead of everyone walking, we'll say anyone who wants to opt to go, maybe it's into town or shopping or back to the hotel, they could do so after lunch, and our driver will take them on to that. Believe it or not, on all my tours I've been on, I've seen very few people just flat out opt out of walks. They usually want to go and experience as much as they can. We include that great free time at the end of the day. And then of course our meals that can be either pretty much all of them with the group or about half with the group. Our in pictures, looking at it in color, You can see all the great components that come through, unique lodging, scenic walks. That's our Olympic National Park walk up top there. Um, we include, again, those wonderful food experiences and smiling faces all around, and just really a wonderful product. I wanted to throw in a few of the pictures from my Ireland tour that I've been talking about, just to see my last experience and what I came back with and what members of the group sent me as their photos and so forth. So you can see this character up the top is just one of the types of people we encounter. He's a wacky boat captain full of Irish stories and whatnot, taking us across the lake. Well, prior to that, we walked about a 7 mile walk through the Gap of Dunlow, which is up in the corner there. And beautiful day for Ireland. It was beautiful. And so we walked 7 miles, but about 5 of it was just gradually going up through the gap and then down, uh, back through the Black Valley, and then we had a picnic lunch down in the corner, and then the scenic boat ride back across to Killarney and on to our hotel. Great day. Now you'd say, well, that seems like a long walk. You were just saying most of them are 5 to 7 miles broken into segments. Well, in this case, we brought the jaunting cart along with us. So if anyone was not feeling it or wanted to take a break or just simply wanted to talk to the Irish chap driving this, they could jump in and go on the jaunting cart at times through this 7 mile walk. Really fun, really unique type of experience. You'll see a lot of people have walking poles. Not me. I'm personally not a big fan of them, but we do provide walking poles for all of our guests as well. So, and the guides will teach you how to use them if you're not familiar with them. And then on to some more snapshots. Again, smaller group, a lot of fun. I was just telling someone about this yesterday. They were a beer drinking group for that everyone loved beer, and usually everyone loves wine on the tours, when they're having it. But in this, beer, so it was kind of fun. Everyone and different stops trying the different local beers and comparing it. Um, Gentleman up at the top was a farmer, grew up in Killarney, and he was getting ready to transition his family property to his oldest son, which is traditional. So he came and spoke to us before dinner at the hotel one night, growing up in Killarney, what it was like. And then in the course of our next day after visiting Killarney, for lunch, and we went to his place and got a tour, and his wife made scones, so, and we're walking out, and this one gentleman up in the corner with the Nikon strap, he leaned into me and he's like, "This is why I travel with you guys, because I never would have found this on my own." He said we could have come here and probably just done the traditional touristy stuff, and we wouldn't find, Dennis's farm here. So really kind of neat, and again, some beautiful scenery in the mix as well. So for self-guided walking, I mentioned it's slightly different than biking. The big difference is we offer it over a wide range of dates. So you do a request for the date that you want. It is independent, but you're going to have that same orientation in the front end of it and support in the background should you need it. We provide the lodging. We provide a custom route notebook for you. We provide all the transfers of you and or your luggage, meaning sometimes you'll walk to your next property in the course of your walks for the day and end up there. In that case, your luggage will be waiting for you. If not, the luggage we picked up with you, and then you're brought to the next area and, operate from there. But you're never walking with nothing more than what you're going to use for the day pack with, typical stuff that you might need during the day. But so it's kind of nice. So these can be really complicated if someone's trying to put this together themselves. We've done it with our expertise, so it's really a great way for you to get a nice independent tour with simply one call to Diane, and then request the date you want. And I did mention we include breakfast every night, but we don't have as many meals on this. It's just the nature of being independent. We don't want to dial in and tell you where you need to eat all the time. I mentioned we do these by request. It's really great because if you can't make a particular date that we would have a set departure, it gives people ultimate flexibility to pick the date that they need. Ranges are great for us because as we request and get the space lined up, if you're really flexible, you let Diane know and we'll put that all in the mix and be able to confirm you faster. Um, Experts are involved in the planning. We involve our guides when we put these together. So it's kind of, again, like tapping their brain and having them write it down and give it to you. We don't, the big difference for air is we don't do a traditional air package. And that's really because of the flexibility of the dates that we offer. But we do offer our great air pricing. So you can take advantage of, it would be simply an airline ticket, but it would be booked through us. It has special rules for us. So you could book it and you don't have to pay for it until your final payment, which gives some more flexibility, and you get a great price for it. So that's a big difference with the way the air is handled. And speaking air package, I've mentioned them a few times. It is a package and it is attached to our tour. So every product it's up for self-guided walking. You get your international flights. You get transfers on each side of those flights. So you arrive, someone's there for you. On your return, someone's taking you. You get a pre and a post hotel night. So really nice. You fly over to Europe, you're greeted, brought to the hotel, you spend a night. The next morning, the guides or leaders, depending on the product, is waiting in the lobby at the set time, and off you go on the tour. The end, brought to the return overnight, and then the next day on to the airport. We do include breakfast, and then we also allow you to extend these. So many tours have either 1 or 2 night extensions on either side of them. So you could turn your, your 7 night, 8-day VBT tour into an 11-day package or 13-day. We also allow you to customize too. So if you say you're doing our tour, but you wanted to stay and visit some other part of Europe or do something else with it, we have that opportunity. As long as we can get the space, we'd be happy to customize. For COVID actions, top on the list, I've mentioned we developed some great new North America destinations. We have protocols. I'm not going to list them here because by the time I finish talking, they may have changed. But they're always up to date on our website. We have some great pages that are very easy to follow. We're never not going to operate we're not going to operate unsafe tours. So it's always going to be constantly adjusted. Currently, a big couple of things that are on people's mind. One, you do need to get a negative COVID test to join a tour. And two, we are not planning to require vaccines for our tours. It's just complicated to do that. That could change, but as of now, no. We have a great little tap in out at Denver because the owner of Xanterra happens to be Philip Anschutz, and he happens to have a medical center at the University of Denver. So we got some really good medical people that we consult with, and they've been able to keep us apprised of, the latest as we design our health protocols around the tour. We have relaxed our booking policies, so you can book any tour and cancel it without any penalty. 91 days for a land tour, 121 days ahead for the waterways. So we've recommended people do this because as things open up, our small tours are going to be busy. So it's a great way to lock up a spot for the fall or, as 2022 comes open and be able to, to have that flexibility if you're not feeling comfortable enough to travel. We have great new catalogs that are available. I recommend digital because they're instant and they're always going to be up to date with the latest. We print catalogs in August, and a lot has changed since August of last year. And we have, again, a great steady confidence that it's going to rebound. we are entering our 50th year with VBT. Well, we're in it in 2021. We do offer 24/7 travel support to any of our guests. So whether you're stuck on your way to the tour, whether you booked our air or not, whether you have insurance through us or not, we have a hotline. It's managed. It springs to action. I had to use it. I had a canceled flight leaving Fort Myers when I went to Ireland. Boom. I shot a text actually, and by the time I got to Ireland, my transfer was waiting for me, 6 hours after it was originally supposed to be there. And really good service, and it's helpful for all of you as you're traveling with us. Um, Diane Cook, you have her contact info, but I just wanted to put that in here as well. She would definitely be your go-to for any of our tours. And I want to thank you for joining me today. I think we're right at 1 hour. It's a lot. It's a lot of info when you put the two brands together, but there's so much that's common between them that it sometimes gets a little easier. Any questions on Country Walkers, air packages, or anything that we talked about today?
I have a new word for porty,
Yeah, porty. Yeah,
I like that.
I'll have to write that one down.
That's really good. And I really like that you explained, you're not going to have everybody with their club jerseys on the bikes, and it's just for regular folks. And I love the e-biking idea. I'm not confident enough to be riding on the roads at home. I like to stay on the paths and that sort of thing, but an e-bike in Holland, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
And staying on a barge, that is, that for me is perfection right there. Yeah. And I loved, you had me at Puglia too, when you were talking about every tour, every time we went somewhere, it was all about the food. It's, oh, you're speaking my language now. Yeah.
Yeah. On our barge trip, we also had, there was a group within the group. So we had 21 people on that, including me, and 2 leaders, and the 14 people knew each other. And there were a couple that were getting remarried within that group. So we did a barge wedding for them, like just so impromptu.
Yeah.
Everyone ran with it. The people that were the captain on the barge, I mean, we transformed that barge into a wedding hall really quick, and decorations and music, and they weren't expecting any of this. They were just expecting, one of their friends had done the Amazon "I'm going to be a priest" kit for $15, and he was going to do the service, and it was phenomenal. I had so much fun sending those pictures back to my office of, this is what we got into on this tour, because again, we have an itinerary, but part of us being reliant on nature and everything else is we always state to people that just keep an open mind. We have experts involved, and if everything doesn't go according to letter by letter of the itinerary, it's for a reason, and we'll make those adjustments. And again, you come back with some great memories.
And that's it. That is exactly it. If everything went according to plan, where would the fun be?
Oh, definitely.
Those unexpected moments, that's what memories are made of. And those are the things you talk about, for sure. Oh, Glenn, this has just been wonderful. I can't thank you enough for joining me today and being here to share your love of Country Walkers and VBT with my clients. And I hope it's given you something to think about. And if it is an adventure you would like to consider, please reach out. Let's have a conversation and see what we can look at for you. So thank you for joining me. And I look forward to seeing you next week, Thursday at 3:00.
Excellent. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank
Have a
you.
wonderful day.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Take care.